What is the right time to spend dollars on brand advertising? And how much of your budget do you spend on it?
There's a couple of
At,
chatters around this.
at levels, yeah.
Like
Let's go through the levels, yeah.
because I think about the level one, nothing's working. I'm just getting going. Sales are most important. Like I would say 100% of dollars being spent, get sales.
Yep.
Then you start to hit like your first little threshold around, you're trying to get like 3,000 a day. That's like 100,000. Yeah, that's 100,000 a month.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like, that's a really big lift. Like how do we cross that? Okay, like I probably have a couple angles that are working. We know we're driving revenue. I probably should invest a little bit of like top of funnel, a little bit of like, can I get new people interested in my product that have not been buying it based off the value props I've been selling?
Even if it's a little less efficient, but it gets more new people in.
Yeah, and that's without me launching new SKUs or launching new products. So I think that first tier is like that $100,000 a month, and even because before that, it's just like, I need to get sales. Yeah. I need sales. That I'm not profitable. I'm not growing. I'm not where I want to be. Get sales. And so that first threshold, I think, is like, that is when you start creating a couple pieces of more branded like content, not direct. You see this value prop and I'm going to buy it because of that.
Yeah. It's still pretty direct response. Like you need it to return, but you're okay with a little lower CPA type of stuff.
Yeah. Because it's less performance, it's more brandy.
Yeah, yeah.
Right now, this is our core conversation. So last year, we finished the year like 28 million. This year, we're going to finish right around like 58, 60 million. And we have one person focused on like, guys, this is very performance. Like we need more brand building exercises and spending on community and culture.
Yeah.
But that's because our business was built off of performance.
Yeah. And you're all performance marketers by trade.
Correct. And so like we have a guys like Bart where like I would argue he spends almost all on brand outside of the $20 get the hat right now. That's performance. He's not running spend X, get Y. He's with everything he builds has brand in mind. There's times where I haven't asked him like, that isn't brand, that is performance.
I think Bart's dollars are spent toward, I think all of Bart's assets, if I'm going to kind of change what you're saying a little bit, all of Bart's assets are what I would call like brand performance assets, where they're like, this is an asset that builds brand, but he's still spending it on like conversions objective, like trying to hit a ROAS or a CPA. Is that accurate? Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
I think it's like creative dependent. I try to blend, performance with brand. So like I'm explaining what the brand is and telling stories and then working with people that also tell the story while putting spend behind it.
But it's brand first.
So you've been spending on brand the whole time, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I have not built a landing page in my life.
Like, okay, performance for you would be like you bought 2 hats, get 1 free.
Yeah. It's like offer manipulation and all this like testing stuff.
Yeah, he's not doing that.
No, not at all.
He's doing like, this is a dope looking hat. Do you want to buy it?
Yeah, and we do a ton of collabs too. So it's like I try to marry like brand empowerment with sales at the same time. So like, if I'm working with like a big athlete and I'm selling a hat with that big athlete, I'm growing the brand and the brand reputation and everything that comes with it by working with these awesome people and at the same time getting performance off of that.
Yeah.
But I lift the brand a lot more by doing stuff like that.
I think the thing he's asking, if I were to reframe the question then, is probably more like, okay, when you run ads on Facebook, you're mostly using like what I would call like a direct response objective conversions. You're trying to drive purchases. Same with Google, et cetera.
Yeah, it's like awareness stuff.
Yeah, when do you start spending dollars on awareness? Or when do you start?
I started with only awareness.
That's
right.
There's spectrums on this one.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
At the beginning, we've subscribed. We think it's an approach and strategy to go brand first.
Yeah.
If performance is showing through engagement, let's see if it works for conversion. That's like the very beginning. I think there's ways and plays you can do that all the way through, but it's dictated on like how much money do I have to spend or how much profitability do I really need? Then you get to guys like Jones Road or Ridge or Grooms, where these guys are in the hundreds of millions. Dude, those guys are tapping out. They need to start discovering. What do they talk about? First impression ratio. Or like one of the things Cody is preaching that I'm still trying to get my head around is impressions per new accounts reached.
Yeah.
No one's talking about that. Like
Cost
you're not talking
per
that
new accounts reached.
You're not talking that until you get to hundreds of millions in spend, dude.
Yeah. And that's if I think that, okay, what if we widen the aperture of the conversation away from Meta? Because I think a lot of people are on Meta. Should you spend on like awareness or traffic or like influencers or TV,
I'll talk about this even because we're doing it. Like, we spent $150,000 on South by Southwest.
Right.
That's
I would call that a brand.
What is that?
What is brand play, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, right. But then you're like, what is that going to do for the in-market performance of where we sell our drinks at? We hope to God see a lift.
Yeah.
That's a decision that we made.
A lift that you won't be able to measure that well.
At all, dude. Yeah. And even with some podcasts, like we're on a couple of these, and like there's got to be a way to understand and measure the halo effect of brand pull-through of our ads on .com. Yeah, there is. Is it going to be perfect? No. So if I'm spending every performance dollar I'm spending is brand dollars at retail. What is that?
Yeah.
How much is that end cap? That's brand.
I think your answer is if you're early, is like, does your brand have real meaning? Does your product have real meaning? Like if you're selling wallets that flip out, like you've been showing, like that's hard to like get emotional around, right?
Yeah, I'm not going like, oh my God.
But Breeze is like changing the way that people consume, whether they're like moving away from alcohol or whether they're doing flow state stuff or anything like that. You're changing human lives with it a bit. And then I'm empowering fatherhood. Like you have to lean into like your brand or company if it has real, true human meaning.
Yeah.
If you're selling problem solving products, that's pretty cold. Like it's going to be like, you should go full performance on that one.
Yes.
But if you have emotion to whatever you're selling, then lean into brand a lot more.
Because what's confusing here is like people are mistaking that they should be spending or they're not doing enough on brand because they think they have a brand. They might not have a brand. They might have a product that it's selling that people are buying because it does a certain thing.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll flip this question to the question that I have for Royo, because this is what we're talking about internally at Royo right now too, which as I think you are as well at Breeze. The question that I have is, okay, if we're defining performance and brand, what do I hold the dollars I spend accountable for, and how much do I hold them accountable for that, right? So if I spend $150,000 on a South by Southwest activation, what do I want? Like, how will I, at the end of that, I look at that and say, that was a success, or that was a 7 out of 10, or that was a 2 out of 10, right? Like, a lot of your dollars, you're kind of holding them accountable for like a ROAS or a CPA, you're like, okay, here's how I know it might not be perfect, but here's how I measure what I hold that dollar accountable for. I think that when I say how much should go to brand, how much should go to performance, I'm saying, I'm talking about the dollars that I don't really hold that accountable. I don't hold them accountable for making me more dollars than I spent, and I don't
how do you measure it?
Yeah, and I don't hold that accountable. Basically, I'm like, I'm not trying to measure their return very much. How much of my budget should I spend on those things that I'm not really trying to measure the return?
Wow, that was a lot of words.
Yeah, well, I'm working through the definition in real time.
Yeah, I think what happens is we have. This is what Amy's sole job is. Like, we hired someone that like has been there, done that, because we don't know how to do that. Like, there's basically a score that you are putting on per channel and per customers generated from that channel. And it's like $1 on Meta is equal to maybe $1.5 in return. Or $1 on AppLove, it might be worth $0.2 there. And then all these impact what retail sell-through is. She's like trying to build a model and like score it based upon how much revenue is being generated from retail. Dude, that's so hard.
Yeah.
So hard, because then you have multiple channels to run this against. Yeah. So what you're trying to ask is, how do I hold every single dollar that I'm deploying accountable for revenue generation?
That's not what I'm asking.
You just said, how do we justify spend on brand?
No. That's not what I said. I said, there are certainly some dollars that I don't hold accountable for making me more dollars, right? Like if I do a South by Southwest activation, I'm like, I'm not necessarily expecting to be seeing a measurable return out of that. How much of my budget should I spend on that kind of stuff? You know what I'm saying?
But you still need it.
Where the KPI is vibes.
What is your fun budget, kind of?
Yeah, but the only way you get a fun budget to spend on non-measurable is if everything else over here is measured and making enough money.
Yeah.
It still is going to be measured.
Right. Yeah,
well, you don't have
my
the budget's derived from my revenue.
You don't have the right to spend on brand if you're not profitable on the performance side of things.
For sure. Yeah. You've got to already be profitable. My budget is already derived by my revenue and profit.
Like you wouldn't be losing a ton of money and being like, let's go throw a 150 at South by Southwest.
Yeah. This is a big money question. You got to really already be profitable.
You got to if you're like, I'm going to make it. Okay. What about this? What is this? I need to invest dollars into a Sydney Sweeney big production campaign.
Yeah.
Or to go pay 300 UGC creators. That's a more practical conversation about going, dude, am I going to spend on this big brand piece, aka influencer?
Yeah.
Or am I going to go get 500 creators that can work for me? At that point, that's like, ooh, where do I put the time? That's a real decision that I think a lot of brands actually have.
Yeah. And the way that I would look at that is I would say, which one do I just want to do more?
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's say that was the Sydney Sweeney one. And I'd say, well, why am I hesitant to do that instead of the other one? And it's because I'm afraid that isn't going to be as measurable of an ROI. Yeah. So then what I'm going to say is like, okay, do I have that much fun budget to spend? Like, do I have that much like brand budget to spend where I can just not hold that money accountable? So that's how I'm asking the question is like, what portion of my budget should I be able to just say like, look, I think it's creating an ROI, but we can't really measure it, and that's okay.
Yeah, we did something similar where like we worked with a big MLB athlete, and like we got a place to like record where we were working, and we could have gotten the regular house, but we got the sickest house we could find.
Oh yeah.
And then out of that came, I don't know, 3 months of infinite content and ads, and all these things where it was like, I think same to you guys. Like if you go do South by Southwest, at least you're stacking creative out of it. Yeah. At least you're bringing it back to email. At least you're bringing it back to the website, your personal brand, anything that's being mentioned, by Aaron or anybody. It's like those assets are still being used long term.
Yeah.
That 150 may be gone that day because it's spent on that activation, but like make sure you're stacking like long lasting content out of those things.
Yeah.
This is a Jake Paul thing we did. We went to the fight and we sponsored an after party and we got posted on TMZ because we had a blow up at the after party.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, whoa, this is crazy. I can't believe you did that. I was like, dude, we just had a blow up there. We just bought tickets.
Yeah.
We just went. We were in part of that cultural moment. And that was and we had a lot more LTV on that piece of content asset investment because of the digital expression.
Yeah. There's a little bit of like, you never know. Like
totally.
Like this feels right.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to come out of this. Like a Sid Sweeney. I hear these conversations all the time where like brands get a big opportunity. It costs a decent amount of money. And then somebody goes, well, at least we could spend that on Facebook ads instead. And it's like, well, you could do that all the time. Like you can always spend on Facebook ads. So why don't you get better at that? Or let's go do this big impactful thing and risk it a little bit.
I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you have a formula for determining that? I sort of do. I mean, it's not a perfect.
It's a lot of gut, honestly.
It's a call. It's a call.
Yeah.
I see it the same way as I see my like stock trading money really is like I am going to set aside in my investment, I'm going to do a bunch of safe investments, long-term investments, but I just know I'm a guy who's going to like hear a thing on a podcast and be like, freaking leveraged up, let's go, baby, and try and make a trade. And I think I see it the same way for brands. And then as the brand grows and your budget is derived as sort of a percentage of revenue, that fund grows. And now all of a sudden that Sydney Sweeney bill is like, no, we can afford that with our fund money. And that's how I look at it anyway. I don't know if that, what do you guys think about that?
I like that framework, but now it's like,
sometimes you just got to like roll the dice a little.
True. And I think having visionary founders that like to see their product and things grow.
Yeah.
I feel like Liquid Death lives this. They're like, dude, you could sell some
They're marketing themselves on a lawsuit right now.
Yeah, okay, but listen to this. They've
raised a lot.
They could have been, dude, if we can figure out how to sell beverage with a decent brand online, I know Liquid Death doing the large swings that they did could sell something online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying they could. I'm not saying
but they did it. They're like, no, we're going to do big marketing moments.
Yeah.
And we're going to go that route.
They're kind of going more like we're raising money, we're doing big marketing, and we're going retail, which is just a different play. Yeah.
But they still have D2C. They still have it. They just don't invest in it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, to this person's question, was the right time to spend? Yeah. My framework is like, have some of your advertising dollars, maybe actually a percentage all the time, even when you're at $2 million a year, that you say, oh, this is just for like shots. This is for me to take shots.
I think you're right.
And then as your brand grows, and maybe the percentage grows a little bit even, but like over time, the fund grows.
I'm just finishing up the Alchemy, Magic of Alchemy book. I think that's Alchemist.
Yeah, it was good.
What you guys got a little book club you're not telling me about? What is this?
No, he just nodded as I said it. I don't know if
okay.
he's read it too, but that's all it talks about is like Red Bull swings and all these companies that were like, well, let's go the opposite of like what the norm is and like invest into this moment.
Sounds like a call of someone going like, do you think it was easy to build Red Bull? Because when I got that, I was like, fuck, dude, you're right.
You think jumping out of space was easy, Bart?
Dude,
Yeah.
Dude, those are crazy. Like, could you imagine being in these calls with these Red Bull guys and all of a sudden they're like, so you want to take it to the edge of the atmosphere and you want to jump and you're like, but what if he dies?
Yeah. And they're like,
why don't we just put that into ads?
And they'll be like, if he dies, it'll be such good content, dude.
That's what crazy. I bet
like,
someone's like, dude, I don't want to say this, but
if he died, that would be huge, right?
Talk about giving you wings.
Yeah.
I will advise, stop doing that where like somebody has an idea and you're like, well, we could just spend it on more ads.
Yeah, don't minimize it by doing the thing that you're already doing.
Yeah.
I think that's just an easy, like, let's move on to the next topic by saying that.
I think that is give it room to breathe first before you say that would be the way I put it. Like, let's let it breathe. Let's talk about it. And then eventually we got to get to this crux of this conversation of like, okay, do we just want to invest those dollars over here instead? But if the answer is already answered because you have a fun money budget, there we go.
Dude, this is a Gary Vee investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could have not spent any money on that. We could have literally made the money and we invested it heavily in a name. And we're like, but guess what? We're running that everywhere. And I think it put us into a different category of going like, wait, that's a
for sure.
That's a business thing. That's like they got Gary. That's a big deal to a lot of people feel that way. So I think it is are we doing this? Are we doing this? Are we doing this? All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Cool.